Now to the Middle East, where a 72-hour ceasefire continues to hold, though this is the last day for that deal as peace talks continue in Egypt. We begin with Roee Ruttenberg, live in Tel Aviv. Roee, Israel is calling on Hamas to disarm, or action will be taken after the temporary truce expires. What are you hearing from your end?
Indeed, and we heard the Israeli finance minister, one of the members of the security cabinet here, Yair Lapid, saying that Israel would indeed help foot the bill for the rehabilitation of Gaza if the demilitarization, the de-arming of Hamas was part of that agreement, saying that they've seen the damage, they're aware of the devastation, the destruction there, that they would financially contribute and logistically support that reconstruction effort there, along with other international partners, if Hamas was demilitarized. This is similar to the demands that the Israelis are putting forth in Cairo amid those ongoing negotiations for an additional extension of that ceasefire, which is due to expire at 8 a.m. on Friday. Additionally, though, Israel says that Hamas should be held accountable for its role in Gaza. It says that the fact that the organization was armed and using weapons in Gaza, the types of weapons that expose the civilian population to danger, Israel says that accountability should lie at the hands of Hamas. Of course, all of this comes amid growing accusations from Gaza, from Palestinian factions about possible war crimes committed by Israel over the Gaza war.
And Roee, I understand Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the head of the International Red Cross. What came out of that meeting? Did Netanyahu make any comments?
Indeed, he met there with Peter Maurer there, and he actually showed him images that were zoomed in, if you will, posted on poster boards so that Maurer could actually see what Netanyahu was trying to explain. These are images that Netanyahu says are Hamas-placed rockets placed inside civilian areas, one placed inside a playground near children, another placed in a cemetery, both in Gaza. Again, these are Israel's accusations, comments made by Netanyahu. Netanyahu saying that Hamas has used civilians as shields during its offensive, during its operations against Israel, saying that Hamas should be held accountable. Netanyahu saying that Israel played by the rules and saying that Hamas, not Israel, is responsible for war crimes, actually saying that Hamas committed a double war crime, first for exposing its own population, and secondly for attacking Israel's civilian population. Again, these are Netanyahu's words. This is Israel's perspective. We know the perspective from Gaza, from the Palestinians, is much different. They deny those allegations and say that Israel deliberately targeted civilians in Gaza.
Roee, Hamas has a list of demands of its own, including reconstructing Gaza, lifting the siege. I know you're covering this conflict in Tel Aviv, but can you give us a sense, some perspective of why lifting the siege is so important to people of Gaza?
Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, Hamas was elected as a party that could offer a solution, a better life for the people of Gaza. Most of the people who voted them didn't actually vote for the resistance element, if you will, or even, in fact, their armed wing, but they wanted better livelihood, better economic opportunities. And Israel, and then backed by Egypt, blockaded the Gaza Strip. Some of the demands that we've seen are rights for the fishermen to fish beyond 6 nautical miles to 12 nautical miles. They want to see crossing opened without Israeli and Egyptian restrictions. They want to see an airport reopened to Gaza after it was bombed by Israel. Now, Israel says, of course, look, if you were able to bring in all of these weapons when there was a blockade, imagine what will be done when there isn't a blockade. So they've been staunchly opposed to that. They're more supportive of having a Palestinian Authority element involved in Gaza at that border. The Palestinians want to see that blockade lifted as a condition for continuing a ceasefire. And in fact, on Thursday night, we were hearing from Hamas factions in Gaza who are not at those negotiations, urging the Palestinian negotiators not to accept an extension of that ceasefire.